In a bombshell development that's sending shockwaves through Washington, Attorney General Pam Bondi has just ordered federal prosecutors to convene a grand jury, marking the beginning of what many are calling President Trump's long-promised accountability for the Russia investigation hoax. After years of President Trump being subjected to what he rightfully called a witch hunt, the tables have finally turned. This isn't just another political investigation. This is justice finally being served to those who weaponize the FBI and intelligence agencies against a sitting president. On August 4, 2025, Attorney General Pam Bondi made the decisive move that Trump supporters have been waiting years to see. Following referrals from Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, Bondi directed Justice Department prosecutors to present evidence to a grand jury investigating the origins of the FBI's Trump-Russia inquiry. This represents the most significant step yet in holding accountable those who participated in what President Trump has consistently called the greatest political witch hunt in American history. Let's be crystal clear about what actually happened. From 2016 through 2019, President Trump faced a relentless barrage of false accusations about Russian collusion. The Mueller investigation, which cost taxpayers over $32 million and consumed nearly 2 years, ultimately found no evidence of criminal conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia. Zero. Despite this complete vindication, the damage to President Trump's first term was immense. The investigation was launched on July 31, 2016, supposedly based on a tip about campaign advisor George Papadopoulos. But we now know this was just the cover story for a much deeper conspiracy to undermine Trump's candidacy and presidency. The catalyst for Bondi's grand jury decision came from recently declassified intelligence released by DNI Tulsi Gabbard. In July 2025, Gabbard accused former President Obama and his national security team of conducting a years-long coup against President Trump. These weren't just political talking points. Gabbard backed up her claims with hard evidence. The documents she released showed that senior Obama administration officials knew in 2016 that Russians had not hacked state election systems to manipulate votes in Trump's favor. Yet, they allowed the narrative of Russian interference to spin wildly out of control, creating a cloud of suspicion over Trump's legitimate electoral victory. Perhaps the most damning evidence comes from the recently declassified appendix to Special Counsel John Durham's report. This 29-page document reveals what appears to be a coordinated effort to fabricate connections between President Trump and Russia. The centerpiece is a July 27, 2016 email that allegedly shows Hillary Clinton personally approving a plan to smear Trump as a Russian asset. While the email's authenticity remains disputed and Durham's team couldn't definitively verify it, the implications are staggering. If genuine, it shows that the entire Russia narrative began as a Clinton campaign dirty trick that somehow morphed into a years-long federal investigation. The email, purportedly from Leonard Bernardo of George Soros's Open Society Foundations, contained this explosive line. Julie says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. Sources indicate that the grand jury will focus on several key figures from the Obama administration and FBI leadership. Former FBI Director James Comey, who President Trump fired in May 2017, and former CIA Director John Brennan are reportedly among those under criminal investigation. Both men have long denied any wrongdoing, but their roles in launching and perpetuating the Russia investigation are now under intense scrutiny. Comey's decision to brief President-elect Trump about the infamous Steele dossier, which we now know was largely fabricated, looks increasingly like a deliberate attempt to create a news hook for media coverage. This isn't just about settling old scores. The weaponization of federal law enforcement against a sitting president represents one of the gravest threats to our constitutional system in American history. If government officials can fabricate investigations to undermine a president they don't like, then we no longer have a democracy, we have a deep state coup. President Trump endured what no American president should ever face, having his own Justice Department investigating him based on what we now know were politically motivated falsehoods. The Russia investigation didn't just harm Trump, it paralyzed his presidency during crucial early months when he should have been implementing his America First agenda. The grand jury process means this investigation has moved from political rhetoric to potential criminal charges. Grand juries have the power to issue subpoenas, compel testimony, and ultimately decide whether to indict former officials for their roles in the Russia investigation origins. Legal experts note that potential charges could include conspiracy, abuse of power, and lying to Congress. Several key Obama administration officials testified under oath about their knowledge and actions regarding the Russia investigation, testimony that may now be scrutinized for perjury. The reaction from Trump supporters and conservative leaders has been overwhelmingly positive. After years of watching President Trump face endless investigations, they're finally seeing accountability flow in the other direction. Social media has exploded with support for Attorney General Bondi's decision. Conservative commentators are calling this a watershed moment in the fight against the deep state. The message is clear. The era of double standards in Washington is coming to an end. This grand jury represents more than just an investigation. It's a fundamental reassertion of constitutional principles. For too long, unelected bureaucrats in the intelligence community and FBI believed they could override the will of the American people. They thought they could investigate, harass, and ultimately remove a duly elected president based on fabricated evidence and political motivations. Attorney General Bondi's action sends a clear message. Those days are over. Government officials who abuse their power to target political opponents will be held accountable, regardless of their party affiliation or previous positions. The convening of this grand jury marks a historic turning point. After years of President Trump being subjected to baseless investigations, we're finally seeing real accountability for those who weaponized our justice system. This isn't about revenge. It's about justice. It's about ensuring that no future president will face the coordinated deep state assault that President Trump courageously endured and ultimately defeated. The American people deserve to know the full truth about how the Russia investigation began and who was responsible for this unprecedented attack on our democratic system. Thanks to Attorney General Bondi's decisive action, we're finally going to get those answers.